Our very own Dr. Derrell Peel works with people all over the U.S. and in other countries, and he recently caught up with his colleague, Dr. Kenny Burdine from the University of Kentucky, while Kenny was in town for a few days. So today, Dr. Peel is taking over the interview duties for a few minutes at least.
I'm Derrell Peel. Welcome to Livestock Marketing. We're doing things a little bit different today. We have a special guest with us. So joining me now is Dr. Kenny Burdine from the University of Kentucky. My counterpart there. Welcome to Oklahoma.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. We had the Rural Economic Conference and you were a keynote speaker at that. Tell us a little bit about what you talked about at that conference.
Be glad to. So we talked about the mechanics of how it worked. Went through some scenarios, but then I also heard to talk a little bit about how it fits into the greater risk management plan. So how can it be used with other strategies? What are some strengths and weaknesses? And then just kind of some best practices for risk management programs involving something like LRP insurance.
So how's your cattle market run, your calf market run been this fall?
Been spread out where it had been dry in early fall. So saw quite a few run in September. Things had slowed down a week or two, but I noticed this past week the run was pretty big. So I feel like we've seen a lot of that run. Probably the next 2 or 3 weeks will be big, and then I feel like most of our calves will probably move by that point, which is fairly normal for us.
Right. Again, here in Oklahoma, we've had big runs the last couple of weeks, a little bit, bigger year over year, a little bit, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule for us. And so I think the dry conditions here is probably forcing some cattle to move. And yet, despite that, these calf prices have remained awful strong, haven't they?
They have. We saw a pullback from, I guess, late July to maybe about 3 weeks, from late July to maybe late September. Saw something similar in 2023 actually, from like September to November.
Right.
But the bounce was encouraging this year. And the last few weeks, basically from the end of September to about mid-October, things have improved.
We normally would still be moving to a seasonal low for these calf prices in late October, early November. We've actually been moving counter-seasonally higher, despite the fact that we don't have any stocker demand really because of the drought conditions here. So, that's a good sign. I think these markets are fundamentally strong, and even though we're seeing somewhat bigger runs, it's a timing issue more than anything. There's not more cattle out there, there's less cattle. And so what are your expectations for your cow herd in that part of the country maybe this next year?
Despite the fact that calf prices have been high, so have cull cow prices. And I think the fact that heifer values are so high, at the weaning level, there's not been a lot of interest in retention. And I think that's been the case in a lot of states, but that's true in Kentucky too. The other thing that's a little bit unique about us, and this has become it's become more of an issue the last really several years, maybe even like 10. We have lost a lot of pasture ground to row crop.
Yeah.
So it constrains us a little bit. I'm not saying we can't add cows, but we've got probably a little bit more constraint than some parts of the country because of that.
Right. Yeah. Well, certainly there doesn't seem to be a lot of appetite for heifer retention. And then when you add on the drought threats and the sort of re-emerging drought conditions, just really doesn't seem to be a lot of interest in that in this part of the world, and I think nationally as well. So I'm expecting to see a lower beef cow herd this next January. I think we've gotten smaller this year, and we're gonna see higher prices going forward into 2025. So we're in a very unique situation going forward. But anyway, it's great to have you here and have a chance to visit with you in Oklahoma.
Thanks for the invite. I enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time on Livestock Marketing.